Well, thank you very much indeed. Welcome, fellow Vice Presidents of Education, or VPEs as I'll call you because it's a lot easier on the tongue. Let me ask you a question. Picture the scene. You are at a club meeting and you're chatting with a visitor or a new member, and they ask you, what is a VPE? How would you answer that succinctly? Let's say in 3 words. Let's try this now, just 3 words only, into the chat. What is a VPE? And I'll try and read a few as they fly up the screen. The 3 words that epitomise a VPE. Vice President Education, educator, meeting organiser, dedicated, oh yes, we need to be, don't we? Roles, speeches and pathways guidance. Educator, guide, coordinator, educate, organise, cheerleader. Oh, that's a nice word. I like that one. You can see there's some words coming up behind me here as well. Mentor, yes, mentoring programs are very powerful for retaining your members. Organiser, motivator, goal setter, and there's a lot more coming in. I looked, these words here came up from the communication I guess we all got as VPEs from TI. So I went into the tutorial and had a look, and they've vanished. They come back again. Meetings, club, members, contests, they all come flying in. And it just seems there's so much to do. We have an awful lot of hats to wear. I think, as Sumesh has just said, it's best if we concentrate on one thing, and maybe the managing the progress is one thing. It's quite a large area, but that's what we'll have a look at today. The session is really about 3 things. It's about experiences, it's about sources, and it's about tips. And I guess that's true of the whole of today. So in true Toastmaster fashion, we'll learn through sharing our experiences, our sources, and our tips. And are you ready for this? There's a quiz too. Ooh, I can hear your excitement even though you're muted. That's a little bit later, before all that excitement. First, can we have a poll, please, Zoom Master Chris, to see what pathways and Basecamp Manager experience we have in the room today, which is highly relevant to the managing progress. Marvellous, thank you. You can see we're getting very few of us with vast Basecamp Manager experience, a lot of us with none at all, and some with some. And in pathways, we do have a couple who say, what's pathways? I won't be going on a path, describing pathways totally. I believe there's another session on pathways a little bit later on, but I will be going on what you need to do as a Vice President Education within there. And I'll just, is everybody had a chance to have a vote there? I'll just share the results so you can see the kind of shape of people that we have in the room. It's giving me an error code 4402. I've no idea what that is, but it looks like we have, the majority of us have no Basecamp experience. The majority of us are working in the levels within pathways. That there are a couple of people who haven't seen pathways before. So thank you very much to Chris, and thank you to everyone. We do seem to have quite a mixture, which will make for interesting and informative discussions a little bit later on. And again, it's about learning from each other, and please share if you have some useful information to give to your colleagues. So I'm going to go 3 things. Headline the pathways facts. So for those of you who have not seen them before, you'll be picking those up. For others, it'll be a reminder. A very speedy demo of the Basecamp Manager duties on pathways. And then into the quiz with some potential discussion Q&As afterwards, depending how much time we have. The quiz, some of the quiz answers just may appear in what I'm about to say. Bit of a hint there. First thing, headline pathways facts. Each of the 11 paths has 14 projects and at least 15 speeches. Level 1 projects are required, and they're the same across all paths, identical. Level 2 projects are also all required. If you're into level 3 and 5, as some of us are, you'll know that there are 1 or 2 required projects at those levels and 1 or 2 elective projects from a vast selection. Level 3 completion has a quirk, I should probably call that a requirement, that you will need to know as one of the 3 Basecamp managers, and it is not immediately obvious. Level 3 completion can only be approved by you once the member has undertaken 3 particular roles at club meetings, and those roles are Toastmaster, Speech Evaluator, and Topics Master. I'll hold my hands up now. I did not know this when I submitted my first level 3 completion request. Luckily, our Basecamp manager at the time, a fellow Pathways guide, had discovered this requirement, so asked me to demonstrate on what dates I'd performed these roles, and all was well. By the way, you can record your club meeting roles in your Pathways accounts, so you don't have to go scrabbling about through all the past meetings to find them. The final section before the quiz is a very quick demo of the Pathways for Basecamp managers. And surely there'll be some hints here for the quiz answers. As Basecamp managers, you have 2 primary activities: validate level completions and track progress. I'll share the screen now, and please, could you somebody give some thumbs up when you see it, because I know sometimes they take a little while. Can anybody see the shared screen now? Could I have a thumbs up, please? Oh, yes, good. Okay, we can see the screen. That's absolutely brilliant. So Vice President, Education, Club Officer Training, Pathways for Basecamp managers. Bear with me, I'm just having difficulty changing screen. That's not what you want to see. Oh no, don't see the quiz yet. That's not allowed. Bear with me. Slight technical hitch here. Stop sharing. Okay, well, I'm just trying to find this. Is everybody aware that you have more than one way of getting into Basecamp, which I discovered recently? I don't know if that's because of the new front end, whether that's what's made the difference.
No.
Cool, I'm about to show you exactly that when I can get the right file up.
They've changed the homepage in the last week.
It's just, yes, it's you get something ready for training and they change it, which I'm sure is an improvement. It's just slightly, yes, awkward when that wasn't what you planned to do. We're nearly there now, just bear with me, just getting the slideshow up. So if I come back to screen share. And we all now see a title slide. It says Pathways for Basecamp Managers.
Yep.
Yes, brilliant. Let's hope it stays there this time. Yes, Toastmasters International, thank you. This is one of the ways of getting into Basecamp. You click your welcome message at the top of the screen and you see this format if you click on the welcome and your name. And the top left, you'll be familiar if you've been into Pathways already, but this is how you get into your learning paths, and you just click and you go. As a Basecamp manager, you will have an extra place to tick, and it'll come up as login as Basecamp manager, and you just tick here and away you go. The other way of getting into Basecamp is to click on Pathways, click on the Go to Basecamp, and you get a different screen. This time you get 3 panels. I'll zoom in on that middle one because that's the one that is of interest to the Basecamp manager role. Again, this is what you'll see before you're a Basecamp manager. When you're a Basecamp manager, you will also see another bar which says login as Basecamp manager. Whichever way you choose to go in, you'll end up at the same place, which should be showing on your screen very shortly, and you'll have 3 boxes there. These relate, the first two are to your two responsibilities, which is approving the level completions, and the second one is for tracking progress. That third box there, manager tutorials, particularly if you're new to the Basecamp manager role within VPE, those tutorials are really helpful. And if you have any particular different situations, there's a lot of tutorials on those as well. One more thing before we move into each of these first two, and that is to point out this phrase, visit the Pathways start page. If you click it, not surprisingly, you end up at the Pathways start page. Now, why on earth do I mention that? Because when I first came in here, I went up to the top left, expecting to have a button or something that would allow me to get back to the main Pathways. But it doesn't. It's like Groundhog Day for Basecamp managers. You keep ending up landing back on this page. So just to let you know, click visit the Pathways start page and you escape, so you don't have the same frustration that I do. Looking first at pending requests. Here we have Martin. Martin has completed level 2 in motivational strategies, and he would like us as Basecamp managers to approve it. And at the right-hand side, which you'll see in a second, you can either approve or you can deny, and you can pop a comment in here as well. Let me say, it is incredibly easy to approve level completions. And once you've approved it, you can't unapprove it. So take a little bit of pause before you do that. And it's something that you as VPEs and your fellow Basecamp managers need to discuss. What checking are you going to do to make sure that this level has genuinely been completed? Because you could just click everything, but that's probably not a responsible way to go. Let's assume that you have done whatever checks you've agreed are appropriate, and you can now print a certificate for Martin. So you'll find Martin, you'll click transcript over here. Then you go through 3 levels, and this is what you're used to if you've been into Pathways at all. You open the curriculum. In this case, as you may remember, it was motivational strategies. You view the details of the level he was asking to be completed, which was level 2, and then view training details. And hey, presto, you can now print the certificate. Obviously, you can hand it to him physically in face-to-face meetings, or you can put it up on the screen, as I've seen a number of clubs do so far. So that's it. That's approving level completions. The second one is tracking member progress. Now in here you have lots of lovely bar charts, and you can download things into Excel and stuff like that. And if that excites you like it does me, then you can have a whale of a time in this particular section. I'll try to keep it fairly brief and not let my excitement overwhelm everybody else. When you click into the tracking progress, you have the option of 6 reports. You can see on the screen absolutely nothing. Do not panic. This is normal. What you need to do is go to the top right where it says options and click, and there will be a button that says refresh. Click refresh. The next thing you need to do is go and make a cup of tea or maybe coffee, because it does take quite a while to refresh. Just be patient. It will come up eventually. And here's one that I prepared earlier. This is one of them. This is the individual progress report. It's one of my favorites. You get 5 panels, one for each of the 5 levels in Pathways, and you can see how many of your club members are working in each of those levels. In this example, you can see this club has 12 members working in the Icebreaker project. There's another drop down at the top of each of the separate level boxes where you can do view details. You can see who it is that's in there, who's doing what, whether they're in progress or whether they've completed. And there's another lovely button, which is export to Excel. Let's assume we're going to do view details for today, and we click there, say view details. You'll get the same bars at the top, and then underneath you'll have a list of all your members that are working in that particular project. In this example, this Crowther Claire person happens to come first alphabetically, so you can see that on the evaluation and feedback, she has completed that particular project within the engaging humour path, and you'll have the full list of all your members on that sheet. That in a nutshell is Pathways for Basecamp Manager. I know it was very fast. There are tutorials to look at, and if you have any questions afterwards, I'll be very happy to take any, certainly through email. I can try and find the answers to those questions if I don't know them myself. So what's next on the agenda? It's quiz time. Let me just have a little bit of an explanation of what we're doing here, because we can't go into teams. Oh, one thing I will say, I've had a few bits in the chat about what's the prize. I guess that shows our enjoyment of quizzes. And I have to tell you that the prize is intangible. It's very valuable, but it's intangible. It's about making connections with each other. It's about discovering and sharing of sources. So there's your prize for today, for everybody. Unlike a typical quiz, this quiz will be open book. And yes, that means you are encouraged to find the answers. This is not about cramming for an exam. It's about knowing where to look. And there is a serious point to this. As VPEs, you will be asked a multitude of amazing questions by your members. You do not need to know the answers. Seriously. The main outcome from today is knowing where to find them. And I would say there's two sources. One is people, the other is places. And the people is simply ask someone who knows. For example, your fellow VPEs in the room today, please take the opportunity to get connected with them. And you could connect with maybe one or even two VPEs within the chat and become a virtual team for doing this quiz. The idea is to try and make connections and also to find the answers. The second thing is places. Use all things online. Please feel free, nay, feel encouraged to Google, go onto the TI website and use any other sources that you know. And again, private chat with fellow VPEs to hear their favourite sources so we spread the knowledge. The quiz questions will be in the form of a poll. And it will be one poll, but there will be 11 questions. So I'm saying, because some are quite straightforward, and I think you'll get them straight away. And some are need a bit more thought. So maybe 5 to 10 minutes to complete. Let's see how you're getting on. And the quiz will come up very shortly, courtesy of our Zoom master, Chris, please. So feel free to chat to each other.
So that's the first 10 questions up there, and a separate poll will be there for the 11th one.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'll put that up in about 5 minutes or so.
Thank you. Have fun.
Let's see, two.
Looks like about half of you have finished. We'll give a little bit longer for everybody else to have a go at the questions, and then we've got one more question left from Chris. Just about everybody has now answered the questions. If you haven't, would you like to quickly have a go through and submit? And then Chris, if we could share the poll answers and I'll go through the results.
Yeah, just let me know when you want me to do so at the 10-minute mark. Yeah.
That'll be cool. Can I just ask you something, Chris? I can see how many people have voted. Am I in that count? Because obviously I'm not voting.
Good question. Actually, I'm not sure.
Okay, that's maybe okay. So we won't wait for me because I'm not going to do the quiz because I might get them right, hopefully. Could we end the polling and show the results, please? And I'll go through all of the answers. Yes. Can everyone see the poll results? Thumbs up, anyone? Yep, cool. Okay, thank you very much. So on round one, how many paths are currently available? The majority of people got this question right, as you can see, which the answer is there are 11. For those who answered 10, there were indeed 10 until the engaging humour was added. Which are the pathways core competencies? The first the answer is B. They are the pathways core competencies. The first one are the core values of Toastmasters overall. So that's why they probably look quite familiar. Oh, one thing I should say is when we finish going through the answers, I've got a one-page sheet that gives you a statement of the correct answers and also a potential source for the answers. So if you didn't quite find them, you have somewhere like a link that you can click to see the answers to this type of question, should you be asked them by your members, which is quite likely. And then number 3, how many levels are there in each path? And the answer there is 5. And as somebody pointed out in the chat, the answer to question 3 is in question 4, which then says which of these are the 5 pathways levels. So that was a bit of a clue there, which was, I'd love to say it was deliberate, but it wasn't. The answer to question 4 is it's C, it's those 5 there. The firm foundation, I think that was a good make up on my part, but that isn't correct, and neither is practicing to perfect. The other one that there was the debate is understanding your style or learning your style, and within pathways it's learning your style. Who can perform the Basecamp manager role? The majority of people, oh no they didn't, I beg your pardon. The answer there is that there are 3 people who can perform the Basecamp manager role, and that is President, Vice President Education and Secretary. So it's those 3 people have the access. And when I say can perform the role, I mean physically can go on to pathways and perform it. None of the other roles have that access. So it's, yeah, so nobody else can do it except for those 3. Which of these are Basecamp manager duties? The 4 that we're looking for are validate level completions, print certificates, track progress, and submit awards in Club Central. The ones at 3, they're the organising the moments of truth. That is a responsibility of the president. They may ask you to help with that. Chairing executive meetings, nobody voted for that. That is the secretary. And leading club contests is you as Vice President Education rather than as Basecamp manager. So it's a slight debate, if you like, as that happens. But you don't have to do it all yourself. Get lots of help from everybody else. You need it when you're running a contest. Do members need to complete the levels in order? And the answer is, in fact, no, they do not. Until September 2019, the answer would have been yes, they do, but they changed it last year. So you can now come in, do your icebreaker, and then you can do anything, any project, except for reflect on your path, which you naturally do at the end. So you can go straight into a level 5 if that's appropriate. I would recommend, and certainly recommend to my mentees, to go through in sequence. There was a reason for those being put like that. And so the answer is no, they do not need to complete them in every order. Where do you submit level completions? And the answer there is Club Central. You do have to put, you get your approved levels within pathways, and then you submit it towards credit for distinguished club program goals. Let me get the terminology right, in Club Central. Moving on to round 2. Should you always submit level completions in Club Central at the same time as in pathways? And I can see why you'd say yes, because it's ideal to kind of do the 2 things at once. However, because they've now allowed you to do the levels in any sequence. So for example, you could choose to finish or complete levels 1, 3, 4 and 5 within pathways. You cannot submit those in Club Central until you've completed level 2. So you can't. And that's a feature of what we have now. Number 10. what is the pathways eligibility for entering the international speech contest? Now, I've heard lots of different answers to this, particularly now we're allowed to do things in different orders. And the answer, and I got this back from speech contests at Toastmasters or International, is level 1 and 2. It is not 2 level 1s, and it isn't any 2 levels. So if you've done 1, 3, 4, and 5, you're not eligible for the international speech contest. That's how it stands at the moment. That's the rules. So I hope that has helped. We have one more question. Do we have time to do one more question?
Yep, I'll stop sharing this now and I'll launch the next poll.
Thank you. Okay, and this one should be fairly quick. We'll just give you a minute to think about this one.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Could we end the poll there and share the results? Yes, the majority of people have given the correct answer, which is somebody who's a member of more than one club. So I used to just say dual, but there are people who are in many more than that. I think I heard 5 the other day. The member can choose which club gets the credit towards DCP goals. So C is the correct answer. And that is the end of the quiz. Okay, what I was going to ask now is if you've had any inspiring tips from any of your colleagues or any inspiring sources, I wonder if you'd like to share them with everyone quite briefly in the chat so that we spread the knowledge. So if you have any new sources you've not heard of or anything you'd like to share with us in terms of sources, please could you pop that in the chat for everyone now? Oh, D71 Facebook group, cool. There's some great, I don't know if anyone's seen Tanya Barrard's YouTube videos that she started putting up. Tanya, I think, is coming on later in this cot. And they're quite good. They're like 7 to 9 minute sound bites of things that you need to know within Toastmasters. I found those quite useful. And as I was told yesterday when I was looking for something, Google it. You can Google things and it points you to the right place with it, either within Toastmasters or within a chat, which is really helpful. Oh, now that's cool. I didn't know there's a Facebook group. So that's something worth joining. Then the District 71 Facebook group. Cool. But the 3 roles that can access space, can their deputies access it too? No, they can't. There's only one person can be registered in each role. So if I know one club has 3 people helping, because the Vice President Education is a big role. They have 3 people. So they've got the Vice President Education and 2 assistants. And it's only the person that's registered with Toastmasters International as Vice President Education that could do the Base Camp Manager along with the registered secretary and the registered president. Oh goodness, show my ignorance here. I don't know what Slack is. Is that a meeting management tool?
So that's usually used for office use. So I use it in the office myself. It's a great little thing. It's kind of like WhatsApp in its own way, but an office WhatsApp is the best way I could describe it. But you can share files on it and things like that. It's like
cool. Yeah. Okay, some clubs have got WhatsApp groups, some have got Facebook groups for their members. And I know some have a Facebook group for members and a Facebook group that sort of is public facing. So I think that you have to be quite a bit careful, don't you, how you manage what goes into each.
Slack is brilliant if you can get everyone to use it, because it means that you can do away with WhatsApp and Dropbox and Google Docs and everything, because everything can be in the same place. But it's not easy to persuade everyone, even on a committee of 7,
Yes.
to engage with it, with new technology.
Okay, so we've got some great stuff. Thank you very much, Jane. And we've got some great stuff going on in the chat. Do keep doing that, keep sharing with anyone. Does anyone have any questions on what I presented or on what I haven't presented that I can maybe either answer or point you at an answer for?
I have a question, Claire.
Okay, Ola.
You mentioned earlier in your presentation that when you submitted the quirk with level 3, that you had to have a certain number of roles completed. And I wondered how your VPE found that out. Was it something that they saw when they were going to approve, or did you see it in your path? Because I just want to make sure, I'm only on level 2 and a lot of people in our club are only at level 2. So I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Okay, I didn't see it at all when I submitted my level 3, but there is apparently a document that if you click into the detail, it tells you. And okay. She's quite good at looking at the detail, and it's just something that I wasn't aware of. So yeah, I'm not, did I find, let me see if I found a source.
I'll have a reach around.
That's all right. Yeah, Zoom Master Chris, I don't know if you could post the answers to the quiz. I've got this PDF in the chat for us. I don't think it was in there, but there's various sources there.
Yeah, I'll push it up now.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. Oh yeah, there is a requirement to do an evaluator, speech evaluator role in level 1. Yeah. On the evaluation and feedback project. You do a speech and you get evaluated. Then you have to take that evaluation into your next speech. And the third part of that project is to perform the role of speech evaluator, just answering that question there.
Mm-hmm.
VPPRs are back in the room.
Oh, hi. I was going to say, are there any more questions, but it's looking like, are we running out of time here, Chris?
You're right at time. Everybody's back.
Yes.
Welcome everybody to the VPE room. Well, temporarily. Thank you very much, and enjoy your year as a Vice President Education, or whatever role you are.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claire. Thank you. Right, so we have everyone back, 109 of us here in this room, main room. Let's 13 minutes, and then we'll take 10 minutes break after that. So what we could do is just a quick 2 minutes from all the roles. What do you think is what you're going to implement in the after this discussion that you had in the breakout room? What do you think you're going to do back in your clubs? So maybe one of the representatives from presidents can start.
That's Tony Madden to speak on behalf of the presidents in our group. Thank you. Anthony Madden, President of Kildare Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, David and Samesh. Hi to everybody. Yeah, we had a lovely session with David. He gave us a very clear message at the very start. And his quotation was from JFK: ask not what your club can do for you, but what you can do for your club. He mentioned the word idea at the very start, which is very important, that ideas will come to the fore. And I thought maybe a suggestion box would be a good idea, but I thought that was a very good word used, David. Thank you. And the importance of the club leadership handbook to all the presidents. He identified the 3 roles: the president's role, the responsibilities, and the resources available to the president. He outlined the importance of talking to the VPE at the start of the meeting. And very important to recognize membership. He mentioned structure, great structure, and that will lead to order in your meeting. He made it very clear that first impressions was most important at club meetings. and for the Sergeant of Arms to highlight guests and guests coming back into the meeting and into your club to make your club a success. And structure is the most important thing, clearly outlined in the club meeting. If you have structure, you're going to have a good meeting. Essentially, you have a checklist, you're going to drive your club to success. Outside the club, David mentioned very clearly the importance of feedback and to encourage members. Again, that word encourage drives success. He mentioned very important educational workshops that can actually motivate members to success.
Okay, thank you.
He mentioned,
thank you, Anthony.
Thanks very much.
You have more points, is it, or?
Yeah, just a couple of more ones. He mentioned the importance of minutes of meetings to be identified, and a club budget, to have a club budget very clear, and to pay expenses that's due to any members of the club promptly. To have a clear club success plan. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah, as a president, I think being the leader of the club, it is a role that overlaps with all the other roles. So it's important that you have covered all those points. So thank you very much, Anthony. Who would like to go from VPE?
Hi, if Jane Craggs would like to
please go.
That'd be brilliant. Thank you, Jane.
Yeah, I was just waving my hand. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Claire for leading a very informative session in which we were all able to participate a lot. She made a great use of polls. So right from the beginning, we were invited both on the chat and then in a poll to decide what epitomised the role of VPE. And a lot of interesting things came out of there, that the VPE is often the heart of the club. Education, organisation, all of those things come together with that role. There was a lot of varied experience within the group, and so she really organised that very well so that we were getting ideas from each other. People have done that role before, people are more experienced or less experienced in pathways. Now, obviously, pathways is a very big part of the VPE role, and so we concentrated on that quite a lot. And I'm sure that everyone who hasn't got too much experience in going into base camp will have learned a lot of the ins and outs from it there, because it's not the most user-friendly part of Toastmasters International. And one of the very, very important things that came out of the session was that we can't be expected to know everything, even if we are really experienced. And Toastmasters International is changing things, changing the rules all the time. And we can't be expected to keep it all in our heads. But what we do need to know is how to find things out. And the answer to that was from people, talking to people, other people who will know, other VPEs, other people who've been VPE, and then finding it out online. And we realised that Googling it was often better than actually trying to work through the search engine on Toastmasters International.
Thank you very much, Jane. It's a good summary. Yes, I think Google is a great resource now, and everything is available, as I told in the beginning, at the fingertips. We have everything at fingertips now. Next is the VP membership. We've got someone from VP membership who would like to give us a quick summary.
Hello, Samesh. My name is Joan, and I'm with Kai Toastmasters Club. And we had a great morning with John, and I thank John Doyle very much. And the important role, chasing people up and being aware to bring people into the meeting and to do so at their own pace, to also set goals and helping them to achieve these goals. And in helping us to do this, providing pre-packs for membership, and then connecting up to either email or phone to just gradually bring them in, and having support within my own group, to maybe committee members, the Sergeant at Arms and that, to follow up after meetings as well. The other thing then was giving them knowledge about the club, pathways, the importance of the follow-up pack actually, which was very good, and then having good structure in the club itself. And yeah, I think it was also then making us aware of Club Central and the resources that are available there for the likes of me, that is Vice President of Membership. So yes, it was all very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joan. Yes, it's good that we have got this discussion ongoing, and you can bring all this back to the club and implement them. Thank you, Joan. Next, we'll go to VPE PR, Public Relations. Who would like to give a quick synopsis?
Yes, so much. Yes, so much. Thank you. I'd just like to thank Rumby. She delivered an excellent breakout session to a very high standard, and it was a very engaged group, so a really good discussion. But Rumby spoke about the roles and responsibilities of VPPR, and I suppose it was evident how those are linked. But as VPPR, we're responsible for portraying a positive image of the club externally, and that is to a high standard and consistent with the Toastmasters branding. Rumby made the point that Toastmasters has put a lot of effort and time into developing that brand, so it's there and we should use it. Also internally within the club, that it's our responsibility to ensure club members are engaged in club activities and in meetings. Some of the tools that are available to us, the website, keeping that up to date, contact information, social media, regular, weekly or fortnightly posts, being aware of your demographics and your audiences. But we discussed an important point was focusing on local communities through local press, radio, leaflets, and also just showing the face of the club, showing the members so people can connect and see that they're people they may know or that it's real people. Also the resources available on the Toastmasters International website, the branding and the branding portal and photographs. Networking amongst the Toastmasters network with other clubs through social media and maybe attending meetings. But that was it really. But one important point was just to provide value, make sure you're providing value in what you do.
Absolutely. And one of the points that Gerard Mannix made in the last club officer training on 4th was the point from John Cox, the immediate district director. And he was saying that Toastmasters is the best kept secret. So we don't want it to be that way. We want it to be a best way of, so the public relations are the people who would defy that statement that it's a best kept secret. They would go out and make it known to everyone everywhere. Okay, thank you very much. Alan, we'll have a quick short synopsis, Secretary, Treasurer, and Sergeant at Arms. The time is very less, only 3 minutes, so please be snappy. Thank you. So Secretary, please. Someone wants to volunteer from Secretary team?
Sorry, Sumesh. Sorry, apologise. I'd like to ask Anita David from Kilkenny Club to speak on behalf of the secretaries. Thank you. Is she there? Anita?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. I found that every secretary seems to have, every club has a different way of doing it. But basically, the secretary is responsible for all the minutes of any meetings, whether it's the club meeting or the committee meeting. And the advice we got there was that you don't need to take the minutes verbatim. You can just have precise headings and not have it over long. And we were also told how long each one should be kept, records. Like bank records should be kept 7 years. But there's a club officer leadership manual that's very helpful that you can actually download or print, or just print whichever pages you want. And there's a lot of information in that for every role, not just the secretaries. And the secretary works very closely with the president and with the VPE. And in some clubs, it's the secretary that sends out the agendas. In others, it might be the VPE. And there's also a very good book that Liz told us about, the Roberts Rules of Order, and is basically giving all the rules for Toastmasters, and anything that we don't know, and we found out a lot that we didn't know. For instance, Easy Speak. We don't use Easy Speak in our club because it's a bit difficult, but we've been told that there are some useful YouTube videos for anybody who wants to take up using it, and it's very helpful. And just that we're responsible for 5 different records.
Thank you very much, Anita. That's a good summary. Thank you. Someone from Treasurer would like to volunteer?
Yep. Hello.
Please do.
Hear me?
Michael.
Hi folks, so today's talk, it was really good. Everybody was very engaged as well and gave a lot of good insight to how their club is run in regards to the treasury role. And the main points that came up is making sure that you're being proactive, like getting the notices out in time in regards to getting payments. Also, it's like making sure the payments are made obviously in time as well towards like Toastmasters International. And it was good to see how each other clubs are running as well. Like some other clubs are like charging, like paying like I think it was a payment of $50 or something like that. Then it's like £5 on the door, which some of that money goes towards like a Christmas party, which I thought was quite a good idea. Other ones, like even some other clubs have like an online system where I think it's called SumUp, which I never heard until that treasury meeting, where they just pay the fees online. Rather than having to collect it all, they just pay individually towards that, which I thought was another good idea. There's been a bit of area like in regards to Zoom meetings as well, where like how much is it going to, how much extra will it be, or how much less, and how to go about getting the right fees towards each member as well. And that's something that we have to work on.
Thank you very much, Michael. Treasurer role is an extremely important role, as we all know. If there is no money in the club, then it becomes quite difficult to run anything. So thank you very much, Michael. And last but not the least, Sergeant at Arms role. Someone please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. The Sergeant at Arms role, I was facilitating the role, and I'm delivering the information, the update from it, because the PowerPoint, the technology let me down, so anyone that knows me isn't a bit surprised about that. I want to thank Moira very much for stepping in and helping out with the PowerPoint when it didn't work well for me. Our group discussed the Sergeant at Arms roles and functions. And the first thing we agreed is that there's a lot more responsibility to the role of Sergeant at Arms and a lot more work to be done in that role than people think. It's one of the roles that seems to be, you don't think there's much being done, but there's a lot of work being done by Sergeant at Arms. They have to set up the venue, organise the venue, organise the whole meet, or set up the whole meeting and facilities and equipment, and then take it all down afterwards. That might seem like, you know, it's a lot of time commitment and time put into organising and setting it all up. The Sergeant at Arms is the face of the club. When a new member walks in the door, it's the first person they see. It's the first person they see, and new guests, and it's one of the first and last people that you see coming in and leaving the club. So they're there as the face of the club, and they have to be ready and welcoming to everybody. We spoke about the whole area of the roles and responsibilities and the duties of a Sergeant at Arms. The whole issue of Zoom meetings came up as well. Was the Sergeant at Arms responsible as the Zoom master as well? That was a mixed bag, because some people may be technology savvy, some people may not. But I think the important thing there is that if there's somebody in the club who is technology savvy, then they can probably do the Zoom master far better than someone who might not be as up to date on things.
Okay.
Asking for help and support is very important. There are a lot of people in the club who have already been Sergeant at Arms, who have already done these roles, and if you help and work together and have a lot of support in the club, working with each other, then everyone benefits and things go well. And Sergeant at Arms is one of those roles that you grow into and you learn as you go along. And we spoke as well, just one last thing about the importance, and if possible in clubs, to store the facilities, the equipment at the venue or at the meeting venue, so that if the Sergeant at Arms can't make the next meeting, the equipment is there. So that's something that, you know, that could be looked at, that you have a way that if the Sergeant at Arms is not there, the equipment still is. So that'll work better in things like hotels and things like that, but it's something that definitely can be looked at. But once again, my thanks to Myra for stepping in with the technology, and I'm going to send the PowerPoint presentation to all the Sergeant at Arms in today's group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. I don't know whether many of you know, but there is a term called faultier officer also used. How many of you know about that, faultier officer? I think probably people in the clubs in Ireland might identify with the word faultier. Faultier in Irish means welcome. And there is a club, I think it was Tullamore Club, who actually brought in this word. Instead of Sergeant at Arms, they call faultier officer, which is really a good term. Sergeant at Arms would sometimes mean as if you're in a military or something. So we don't want that message to go out. We want the message that people are welcome. You know, it's not a military regime that we are running here. It's quite an interesting thing that I heard, faulty officer. So thank you very much. This has been a great discussion. We will take 10 minutes break and we will be back with the next part of the program.